Hello, Jasmine. Thank you so much for joining me today for our mommy moment. I appreciate your time and appreciate you just being available for this. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Well, you know what? I think I'll introduce myself first. I am Dee Fontenette, and I'll be your host for this mommy moment. I am a speech language pathologist, and I love helping moms to navigate this digital space on how to work with their children, how to connect more with their children, how to understand the effects of screen time, which actually inhibits the connection that we want with our children, and just really all things language development. So I appreciate your time in joining us for our mommy moment, and I will give it to Jasmine to introduce yourself.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Teague. I am a mom of one. A son, our first son, he's 18 months, and I'm in the thick of learning how to be at home and, have activities and stimulate the mind of a little one that has a ton energy, but in a positive
Yes.
energy. He's really a breath of fresh air, so much joy, so much laughter. And so I'm just trying to learn how to be intentional as a mom, because that's one of the reasons I actually left work full time, so that me and my husband can be a primary influence in his life. So I work part-time from home, but most of my day is to myself to be able to do what I want with our son.
That is awesome that you were able to do that. I know not all of us are able to do that, but that is such a blessing that you are.
It is. We prepared
Great.
so that we would have that option. And I'm grateful that God allowed everything to fall into place to help us do it.
Yes. And I've seen that baby of yours. He is so handsome and he is growing. He's getting so fat. He's growing so fast.
We actually just
So,
the doctor today. So I'm like, oof, where's time going?
yes. Well, great. So I wanted to talk. I know we've had a previous conversation before about something that you read in a group that you thought was really helpful. And so I thought that would be a good way, this would be a good time to actually share what that was and how it was helpful.
Mm-hmm. I've done, I guess, a lot of watching, reading through the group. And one of the biggest things was you talking about not language, but child development, brain development, because I'm a nerd. So when you said brain, my ears perked up. But you talked about how the first basically handful of years in a child's life are the most pivotal for, I guess, breeding ground for everything they're going to learn. I guess a foundation for what we build on. And so through learning that, it made me a little more intentional about my interactions with my son, other people's interactions with him, specifically grandparents, because there's a lot of media in their homes that's not in our home.
Right.
And so it just gave me an avenue to be able to advocate for why my husband and I are so adamant about no TV, no screen time, or even it's difficult because some of his grandparents are here and then some of them are out of town. So we have to use the cell phone or the computer for FaceTime and things, but helping him learn the difference between I'm talking to grandma or grandpa and I'm watching a TV show that I don't understand and can't interact with. And so that's been one thing that's been really helpful. Also, I guess within that, we have a niece and a few nephews living in the home with us. So it's been what I've learned has helped me communicate with that. We have an 8, a 5, a 4, and a 2-year-old in our house. And a 2-year-old is really fun because we're in that temper tantrum sort of stage with him. And so it's helped me to be able to communicate with them a lot better, understand emotions, slow down with them, or interact with them in such a way that they feel heard, which I'm like, I have an 18-month-old. So doing that with an 8, 5, 4, and 2-year-old was something new to me. And I asked that question and you helped me with some tools that I can utilize to help mostly the 5-year-old, because I feel like he's learned how to navigate his emotions and things like that. And so that's been really helpful.
That's good. That's so good. I'm so glad to hear that, because we as parents feel like that, we have to know it all, and with working and juggling schedules, church activities, it's difficult to know it all. And so I really wanted to provide a space where I could help parents navigate this journey of parenting. My children are 26 and 22 now.
Okay.
And so I didn't have this, when I was raising them. Luckily, I did have my schooling and a lot of extensive training in child development and language development. And so that really helped. But a lot of this other things that I wanted, I didn't have. So that's good to hear how that's been helping you, because it's tough. It's tough juggling it all. So you mentioned the question that you posted. So you posted a question in the group, which I totally appreciate, because when I get questions, then I know exactly how to help you. And I know, because I got a bunch of stuff going on up here. And it's like, what's too much? What do they want to know right now? What do they want to know more about? What have they heard too much about? It's hard to sift through it all and figure it out. So when I get questions, it really helps, because then I can zone in to some specific content and really meet an immediate need. So appreciate the question that you shared in the group. But could you ask that question, or kind of talk a little bit more about specifically what you were asking? And then I know you mentioned a little bit about how it's helped, but just for people who don't know what the question was, can you talk a little bit more about what that question was, and then what my response was, and then how that helped?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, we have a niece and a few nephews living in a home with us, and more specifically, the 5-year-old has a little bit of a difficulty, I would say, with his attitude. Is temper tantrums, is shutting down and walking away. It might be blatantly ignoring what it is that you have to say. And so, to me, I don't know this niece and nephew all that well yet. It was the second time I've met them. And so a lot of it was just learning and building a relationship with him before it's like, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. Stop doing this, stop doing that. And so my question was in a nutshell, was how do I navigate teaching him the proper way to respond to things, not shutting down, not walking away, not being disrespectful to adults or even his older sibling that's trying to tell him the right things to do. What does that look like? And so you basically told me to, one, basically slow down with him. If he doesn't know how to describe the emotion, ask for him to draw something out. You suggested, that's the best way to put it, getting a little bit of additional help or talking with his parents if I needed to figure out where the attitude or the shutting down may be stemming from. What you asked me, if there was a language or communication barrier to where if he's frustrated because he can't tell us what the problem is, and how to navigate that. And so those were some of the suggestions that have worked really well for him. Most of it is asking him to come here, and getting on his level and using simpler words, and then asking him to repeat to me what I said to make sure I understand and make sure he understands what I said. And to give an example, I used to, to give an instruction and I would say, do you understand? Or a word like that. And I once I asked him, well, what did I say? He couldn't tell me. And so I started instead of asking him, do you understand? I would basically say, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, and very like simple 5-year-old terms, couple word, a few word sentences, and then asking him to repeat to me the steps. And if he missed a step or if he didn't understand something, I would go back to that step that he didn't quite understand. And that's helped a lot with him running away, or like, I rarely get that now, and they've been here about a month.
That's great. That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. And that is so important. We need to seek to understand first, and that's something that I hear, and you probably have heard it too, in just relationships, and it's biblical, seek to understand. But we have to do that with our kids, you know. We a lot of times we get so we're in a hurry, or we are trying to get to something and get it done, and you know, our kids aren't on the same pace as we are. And so sometimes we have to actually put forth the effort to seek understanding first. And so I really like how you said you would ask him something and then come back and ask for feedback to see if he understood you, or for ask him to do something and make sure that he understood you. So that is a very valuable tool, because that helps with connection for one, and then that helps if there's any breakdown in the request or what's being asked of him, so you can figure that out too. So
yeah, like my brother would ask him, or he would tell him, I need you to listen. And he didn't know what the word listen mean. And so we had to learn how to communicate what we mean by listening to him. Because he's like, listen to what I told you, or do what I told you to do. And he's like, well, what does listen mean?
What does listen? And that's, you know, that constitutes as a language barrier, because even though it's not a foreign language, it's still that's language he does not understand. So that's really important to note also. So kudos to you. Good job. I'm glad that that is working out and you are seeing some results. So
my best to be a good aunt.
So say that again.
I said I'm doing my best to be a good aunt.
You are being a great aunt. You know, back in my day, we didn't have all of that. You got a spanking. Put in a corner, sent to your room. We didn't get all that effort when I was a kid. So you are being a great mom. So I love it. But so how have you seen, just can you just speak to how your connection now is better with your child and your nephew? You told me a little bit about your nephew, but how has your connection now been with your child better?
It's been great. And I didn't actually elaborate on this component. So one thing that I also learned was not only media not being effective for a child, the age of my son, around 18 months or younger, but also the aspect of your attentiveness when it comes to being on your phone, whether by phone call, by text message, utilizing media on your own. And for me, because I work from home, is using my laptop. And for me, when I became a stay-at-home mom, or a work from home mom, I guess that's a technical term, I started getting more phone calls from my mom, from my sister, from different family members, because it's like, well, you got all this free time.
They know you're at home.
We can build a better relationship, and all of that's great. But one thing I realized is that our son learned how to put a phone to his ear and say hello, because I was doing that a good portion of the day. And I'm like, where did you learn that from? And then I realized, like, he learned it because people called me at a myriad of times throughout the day. And so just in learning that aspect of taking a frame of time, whether it's from 10 to 12 or 12 to 2, like, I don't take phone calls. And if I have to take a phone call, they're very abbreviated. And in doing so, I was attentive to my son then, but now he very much looks for, like, mommy, are you watching? Even though he can't say it, he'll say, or he try up, or he'll try to say help and things of that sort.
Trying to get your attention.
And so now I'm able to, like, I sit down on the floor with him a lot more often to play with toys, or he'll go, we have a clear case of, like, books in it. He'll go pull out a book and sit at my feet for me to read the book, or for him to sit in between my legs and him flip through the pages like he's reading the book, pointing at animals and things that he recognizes. And so I think through doing that, it just allowed me to have more of those precious mommy moments where I see, oh, you love to read, or you can say vroom vroom when there's a car in your hand. I was able to recognize all of those things. And on top of that, because he's active and climbing on things, I'm able to catch a lot of those, I would say, close calls, because I'm paying a lot more close attention since he's climbing on furniture and stuff now. And so I get the random hugs throughout the day. He's learning how to give kisses and stuff like that. And so it's allowed me to really deepen those special bonds of him learning how to do those things that foster better connection between the two of us, physical connection between the two of us.
That is amazing. And you know, I mean, you said a lot that, and you don't even realize how much we miss when we're on our phones, and it just sucks up our day and sucks up our time, where then when we really have to get things done, we don't have a lot of extra time for those moments and those little kisses and those little, the time to just exhale and be on the floor. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been on my phone for an hour and now I got to go do dinner and do laundry and this and this and this and that. And we really rob ourselves of those special mommy moments. So that is so good to hear. I'm so glad to hear that. So, well, is there anything that you want to ask of me?
I think one of the major things right now is us navigating language. And I guess we're in that temper tantrum sort of stage. So how do you nip that in the bud early? But also, how do you, I guess it's two questions, but I guess the main thing is, how do you foster communication between you and your child? As our son is learning how to talk, he can say 5, 15 or so words, and he knows what certain things are, but how do you, I guess, gain repetition or instill certain things to where it's not pressure, but providing a breeding ground for him to learn how to speak better, since he's interested in books and things like that?
Oh, that's a great, great question. And this is a great, fun age for that. Their brains are like little sponges at this age. So really the biggest thing is just creating a very language rich environment. So what I mean by that is reading the books, but do something that I call interactive reading. So you're not just reading, okay, Johnny went to Susie and got a ball, turn the page. Then they went to go blah, 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 blah. So that's just the normal reading. But instead of Johnny went to Susie and got a ball, interactive reading would involve, where's the ball? What color is the ball? Is the ball big? Is the ball small? What do you do with the ball? Or those type of questions, because that is bombarding him with language, that is helping him to think about what he's seeing on the page, associating words, building his vocabulary, answering questions. You can even do some predicting, like, what do you think is going to happen next? And he probably can't answer that, but it's still, he's hearing you say it, and you can say, oh, look, he went and got Susie. Being very animated too at this age is good, because it gets the child involved and interested. But that's really good with reading. Make sure that you are doing interactive reading. The other thing is, just in your regular routine, excuse me, just providing more words like adjectives. So when you're sitting down at the dinner table and you're eating, you can say, here's my fork, I'm eating with my fork, or just adding extra words or adding adjectives like colors. There might be a toy that he has, and what color is the toy? Or the blocks are squares. You might start talking about shapes and talking about the colors of the shapes, the size of the shapes. So those are things that you can do and it's not, you don't have to do it very in a teaching manner like I'm doing right now with you, but just kind of as you go along, just adding more words to his vocabulary, modeling what you want him to say. So if he's saying mama and stop and go, then you can start saying mama go, because he can say mama and he can say go. So you can model mama go. What's his name?
We call him Trey. His name is Kevin.
Trey. You can say Trey go. Trey go, and see if he would repeat that for you. Don't get into actually saying, say Trey go, because a lot of times kids will get stuck in saying, say Trey go. And you're like, no, don't say, just say Trey. But just, when you're modeling, you want to just say what you want him to say, and you just do it for him, and you don't make a big deal out of it. If he doesn't say it, that's fine. He's hearing it. You're giving him a lot of language bombardment. That's how you really create a language rich environment. So you can start off with those things, but reading, I just cannot say enough, is such a big, big help. It's so much that kids get from reading, imagination, creativity, vocabulary, answering and asking questions. Um, that's really, really good. So hope that helps.
That is helpful, especially the not saying the same portion of something you're trying to help them learn, especially when it comes to greetings or telling people bye. It's like say bye bye or say hello, tell granny this or tell daddy that. It's kind of like I love the way you describe that of just saying that and then him picking it up because kids pick up I've watched in our home kids pick up words that you don't even think they're paying attention to. So it's
Yep.
like we don't have to tell them to say anything
Nope.
because they're listening regardless of whether we think they're or not. So I that's really, really helpful. And
Good.
as well as the other components of the bombardment and the different ways you can do that where it's not teaching you, but it's fun, it's exciting, and it's something new. So they're he's attentive to it. So that is really helpful.
Good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, and the whole point of this is just to help parents to connect with their children, because with a lot of parenting challenges that we have, with potty training and discipline and getting our kids to clean their room and getting them to listen to us. We have a lot of challenges as parents, and a lot of it can be solved by building a foundation of connection first. When you have that connection, then you and your child have a bond. It's the same thing. It's the same relationship that we have with our friends. We connect better when we trust them. We connect better when we know that they have our back, when we feel close to them, it's just a better relationship. So we can connect better with our children, then our parenting can be more effective and they would listen to us more or better. And then we have a better, deeper bond with them. But when we get into the rut of the hustle and bustle of life, and it's not a guilt thing because it's real, it's very, very real. But I think the more mindful we are of connecting first, especially at a very early age, then it really builds the foundation for a lot of those problems not being such a big problem. So, all right, Jasmine. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was a great, great time to talk to you. I'm so glad that the things that you are learning in the group are working and helping. I'll just stay tuned for more stuff and let me know of other things that you want to hear about and learn about, know about. Feel free to post things in the group too that you feel will be helpful for some of the moms, or as you come along or come across other things and you want to share them, feel free to share them in the group. I don't have it admin approved. I have it open where people can actually post stuff. So feel free to do that. And I think that's it. Thanks for your time.
I appreciate the opportunity and you not only thinking about having this idea, but orchestrating this idea so that moms like me can be able to engage and learn something. And so I hope down the line where it's a ripple effect of the moms that you're able to help. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to say, if anybody wants to follow me on for more tips, if anybody wants more tips also in a video format, I do have a YouTube channel at Spirit Speech Consulting on YouTube. And then if you're on Instagram, you can also follow me on Instagram at Spirit Speech Consulting also. So, all right. Well, we will conclude. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.